descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Plenty of Hall of Fame representation between these two franchises. The Nationals started in 1969 as the Expos. And a couple of those all-time greats are here tonight in person. Craig Biggio and Jeff Bagwell. And I'd be hard-pressed to think they're enjoying what's happening on the field tonight.
No, not at all. Certainly numbers are very prominent here. How about this guy? Appearing in his second World Series, Fernando Rodney at 42 years old. 17th year in the major leagues is coming in to pitch this game, and he's got a 6-run cushion. Perfect scenario for the Nationals to be able to use Rodney right here in this situation.
Oldest player in Major League Baseball this year at the age of 42. And now it's Josh Reddick who leads things off for the Astros in the 7th. I mean, what an absolute blessing for the Nationals now to have pushed across that much insurance. It's one thing when Suzuki hit the homer, but 5 more runs after that, and it allows Washington to kind of relax. They don't have to use their frontline relievers here.
Yeah, it's a perfect setup for this bullpen. Chance to get Rodney in the game, maybe a chance to bring Tanner Rainey back and give him another opportunity to get his feet on the ground in this World Series after a rough first outing. Dave Martinez thinking ahead, obviously, about how he can best utilize the bullpen from this point forward.
This was the play up the third baseline once again that yielded the final 2 runs of the inning.
Rodney's always had that terrific changeup. He threw 96, 97 early in his career. He's dropped a little bit in velocity, but he's still got that great wipeout changeup. He can throw it anytime. Led the American League in saves in 2014 with 48 while pitching for the Seattle Mariners. Got 327 career saves.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Still rushing it up there. That was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. There is no predictive model of baseball, no algorithm, no computer simulation that could have come close to predicting what was going to happen here in this game tonight.
No, not at all. Or even when you think about the 2 games and the way they have set up against 2 of the best pitchers in baseball coming into this series. And Rodney loses Reddick to start the inning. But when you have a terrific 1-2 punch, and you know what the Nationals will tell you, they thought their 1-2 punch could match up with anybody's with Scherzer and Strasburg in games 1 and 2. And so far they're living up to that.
I'll tell you another thing the big lead does, and nobody's, counting the Astros out. Take a look at where Rodney ranks on the active career saves board. It probably removes the urgency in bringing Patrick Corbin back in relief tonight.
Yeah.
And again, he pitched yesterday in relief, wasn't taxed. But in a perfect world, Corbin sits all night to give Dave Martinez the option of even piggybacking him with Anibal Sanchez on Friday if things go wrong. Bringing him back on Saturday, using him as a special reliever again. The options now are wide open.
Yeah, man, and I think, and there's what we were talking about with Tanner Rainey, a chance to get him right back on the horse in game 2 after he had a rough first outing. But I think now, if they should go on and win this game, go 2 up in the series, he can sit back and schedule Corbin to pitch game 4.
Yeah.
And do that with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And then you'll have your other 2 horses on full rest. And certainly Max Scherzer's going to need full rest after that taxing 112 pitch effort.
I think you could say the same for Strasburg tonight with a similar workload. 2 balls and a strike to count to the top of the order man, George Springer. Now, in order for all that to work, Rodney needs to get through an inning. You walk the leadoff batter. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Springer. bouncer up the third baseline. Rendon the short way. They get the out at second on a tough chance. Much more difficult play than it looked.
Yeah, he was going back away from home plate and fielded, and then made a terrific throw to Cabrera at second. Get that force out. And you got to back up to play the hop perfectly. You see how he's going backwards and then stabs at the ball. He's got that unusual arm stroke, but he throws a strike to Cabrera. Rendon can really play third base.
Boy, his style is so casual. There's never an urgency, never a rush. It never feels as though he's pressured. Easy breezy greatness. He's like the Dick Cavett of Major League third basemen.
There's some good ones that play that way. That fella in Colorado has that same kind of demeanor, very relaxed, very casual, never seems to be in a rush to do anything. Nolan Arenado.
1 out, 1 on for Jose Altuve.
Rodney was released by the Oakland A's. Washington took a shot, signed him as a free agent. Here he is pitching in his second World Series.
What does this do if this score holds? What does this do in terms of the urgency for A.J. Hinch?
Well, obviously, when you think about it, if they lose this game, Houston will be 7-6 in the playoffs. And they haven't dominated the way people thought they would into the postseason. And now you're thinking about Zach Greinke starting in Game 3. And nobody wants to speculate what managers think about. But with Cole and Verlander, you expect at least you're going to get a split out of those two games. And now they're looking at going down 0-2.
Yeah.
And going into the home ballpark of the Nationals, which is a terrific atmosphere in the postseason.
Astros were a much better home team this year than they were on the road. Altuve's jammed and he pops it for Turner. And 2 gone. Greinke has been the least effective of the Astros' big 3. And I don't think the option exists, at least not in the very short term, of Cole or Verlander in Game 4. Would you consider Cole in Game 4, bringing him back short?
I bet you they're going to think about it. You get on the plane tonight and have that conversation and just say, hey, you know what? And they'll have the players involved, and certainly they'll have some input. And very difficult, but you know what? That used to be a common practice. You know, when you think about the Tigers, Mickey Lolich won 3 games in the World Series. It was constant. You have one of your great starters, he'd start games 1, 5, and 7.
Well, the most recent examples of that, and I think back to just as recently as 2016, trying to do that with Corey Kluber to beat the Cubs, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Not everybody can have that Oral Hershiser games 1, 4, and 7 success. But I agree with you. I think it's something that they'll consider. They'll consider everything.
Absolutely. I mean, how many times and how many opportunities? Yeah, they've been to the World Series a couple of times in the last 3 years, but at the same time, these don't come around that often. And they're looking at the prospects of not having Garrett Cole next year.
That's right.
And Verlander will be a year older. So, yeah, there's going to be some serious conversation on that plane ride to Washington.
Houston began this World Series 5-2 at home this postseason. They dropped the opener yesterday and are really behind the 8 ball here tonight, trailing 8-2 in the 7th.
Yeah, if they go 5-2 at home, obviously that means they're 2-3 on the road. And going down in this series 0-2 and then having to go into the Nationals home ballpark for the next 3 games, it's really a challenging task.
Brantley with a liner that's gobbled up by Zimmerman. A fine play to retire the side without incident in the 7th. Everything going the Nats' way tonight.